soul asunder. O thou, who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome again to Ramakrishna Monastery. We've been receiving lots of phone calls lately, inquiring about the monastery and its activities. And, it has become something almost mechanical for me to pick up the phone and simply say the monastery is only open on Sundays for lectures from 10 or 11 to 2 p.m. And then I go with my speech, and then I'm sorry, but I'm not allowing people to talk. But then I listen. And then he said, okay, well, I was inquiring about lectures. Oh, yes, by the way, Swami Satyamayananda is going to be here on Sunday. And the topic is Samadhi, and just to remind you that the lecture starts at 11. And yes, but I have a question. Oh, and then I said, well, and the topic is Samadhi. And then, yes, but what is Samadhi? And honestly, I was kind of surprised. I was taken aback. What is Samadhi? Isn't it obvious? But then again, that maybe I'm wrong. I didn't hear well. So I asked again, so what was your question again? What is Samadhi? Oh, well, and in a millisecond, all the theories from philosophy to Sri Ramakrishna came to my mind in a flash. And I was like, wow, how to explain Samadhi, in less than, a minute. And then I was reminded of this beautiful verse from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 6, verse number 29, that says, Sarva bhutas tanatmanam, sarva bhutani chatmani, ikshate yoga yuktatma, sarvatra samadarshanaha. The true yogis, uniting their consciousness with God, see with equal eye all beings in God and God in all beings. The true yogis, uniting their consciousness with God, see with equal eye all beings in God and God in all beings. Then I simply said, you know what? Samadhi means absorption. And if you want to learn more, you are welcome to come on Sunday at 11 a.m. to listen to our revered Swami Satyamayananda, who is here today. And the topic is Samadhi, the conquest from life to death and death to life. Welcome, Maharaj.
Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. Om, salutations to Ramakrishna. Well, it is a tall order. And Swami Dhyana Yogananda has mercifully made it even taller. I hope I can reach out and fulfill some expectations about this wonderful topic on Samadhi. I mean, this word is all over the place. Everybody discusses it. And sometimes it's just thrown about very casually. But it's a very profound state. It reminds me, a person comes to Sri Ramakrishna and says, can you tell me quickly what is this thing called Samadhi? And everybody laughs. No, you can't tell anybody quickly what this state is. However, I'm taking a different route in explaining this state as also what it means to conquer life and death. These are more tangible than your blessed samadhis. How do we handle these things? If you read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, it seems, it's apparent that he has a central focus on this theme of samadhi. The means, its attainment, and its post-attainment. As Swami Satyamayananda says, that what happens to your consciousness. It's not only in this particular book, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. You see him constantly in that state. He's not just speaking about it. And one gets a kind of curiosity awakened. What is this? So this state of samadhi, well, is not only consistent with the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna all through his life, but the same thing is found in all the spiritual literature of India. The central theme is samadhi. How to attain it? What exactly is an experience? This is the highest experience possible to a human mind. Okay. In fact, you will not be able to understand the spiritual literature until you know a little of what it means to be in samadhi. Okay. So this is one. Secondly, am I or you or anyone else are competent for this state? Yes. Swami Vivekananda says, samadhi is the property of every human being because we have a mind. And it's not only we have a mind, he continues, it's a property of every living being. Saying there will come a time when even angels will have to be reborn as humans and attain to that blessed state. This is the goal of every one of us. Having said so, yeah, it is difficult, obviously. I'll quote an ancient passage from one of the Upanishads that brings this state closer to us. There's a sage called Narada. He goes to another sage called Sanat Kumara to learn. And one of the teachings is, quote, meditation is greater than intelligence. The earth is meditating as it were. The heavens are meditating as it were. The interspaces are meditating as it were. The mountains are meditating as it were. Waters are meditating as it were. The gods and the humans are meditating as it were. The whole of nature is in a kind of a state of meditation. And then he says, those who appear to have acquired a portion of greatness here is a result of this meditation, of understanding nature. And those who don't are small-minded, quarrelsome, jealous, and slanderous. There, he's polarized us conveniently. So we are competent. The whole of nature is, as it were, kind of meditative. And when you are meditative, you are closer to your own nature. you can understand your own depths, can plumb them. So, apart from the different methodologies that are given in the scriptures, they also state that any activity, whether it's music or art, or literature, dancing, whatever, if done with utmost sincerity and concentration, can lead you to this state. It's not only religious or spiritual concentration through the paths of devotion or knowledge or yoga. No, every activity can lead you to that state. Okay? Now, having said so, we'll start with, we are supposed to conquer life and death. There's no killing machine like a human being. Yeah. At the same time, we are in the vortex of old age, sickness, misery, death, and all the existential problems. We are trying to extricate ourselves from that. We are in dread of that. And yet, we are killing machines. Yeah, all through our history, that warmongering spirit, with all our advances and advanced knowledge, is not diluting the spirit, warmongering spirit. And we know we have factory farms also. Factory farming, yeah. And it extends to all of nature. We are not just killing each other, but everything around us. This is a fact of life. And that's what the Bhagavad Gita says. This is the world of death. It's called Martaloka, where death reigns supreme. Everything is subject to death. There's death in our bodies, and that's why there's life. They are not two things. We have conveniently compartmentalized it as separate. Wherever there's life, there will be death. You have to die every moment to live. It's happening in our bodies, it's happening in our mind, it's happening everywhere. So this life, what's life? We are not satisfied with our lives, we are trying to find life outside our solar system or wherever. It has kind of driven us, enamored. Why? Because we love life. We want to see life everywhere. We don't like to see some death and corpses and all these kind of things. We love life. And wherever there is life, there is love. Inevitably, we love something that's living. And what is life? Well, biology or neurology will tell you immense, you can say, deal about what life is. But nobody can really pin it down. You have some more space to kind of expand and expand. So this is death and this is life briefly. I don't need to dwell on it because we are at every moment aware of this fact. And when it comes to understanding mind, oh my God, we study a little neurology and say, this is the brain and this is the mind. Oh, okay. And then it beats us. Now the skin is supposed to be an extension of the brain. The microbiome is directly related to your brain. People are talking about extended mind. Yes. What's this? All these things. We simply just can't pin it down. What exactly is the mind? Yeah. It has. This fact of life is the most mysterious thing in our consciousness. when a person gets into this highly concentrated state called samadhi, the body starts functioning. I tell people, I say, you want to learn about samadhi, are you prepared to die for it? Yeah, I'm ready to die for it. No, literally. No, I don't want that. Yeah. For that moment of intense concentration, the body dies. This Ramakrishna used to go often into samadhi, and one time there were two doctors. The doctor whipped out his stethoscope and said, there's no heartbeat. And then there's no pulse. There's no breath. Another doctor puts his finger in his eye and there's no reaction. And saying all our medical knowledge is kind of has failed us to explain what the state is. Then after a while, Sri Ramakrishna's mind descends and he's back again. What happened? Something happened. Yeah. What is the state that he accessed, not just on the conscious level? He has transcended both life and death. And yet he comes with a tremendous knowledge about life and death. So this will be the topic of what we are going to. So if you want to conquer life and death, you need to get into samadhi. There are various incidents where the body appears life, or in a very highly advanced hibernative state. Your heart beats maybe 2 or 3 beats a minute, slowly. Everything slows down and slows down and slows down. Everything stops. But you are in a different realm. See, we have a very limited, you can say, a caricatured conception about the human body and human mind, and about ourselves, about the world. This theme simply breaks through all those concepts and brings in fresh knowledge about it. So what is samadhi? We're talking about all these things. People have come to listen to samadhi. They have called Swami Dhyana Yogananda, what is samadhi and what is samadhi? And yeah, what's this guy? He's not talking about samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna says, I'm going to tell you everything about samadhi now. And he describes the processes that are happening within. And when he reaches a point, he's saying, he becomes silent. And he says, the Divine Mother, she's closing my mouth. She doesn't want me to tell you all. There. And some of his disciples say, oh my God, why did the Divine Mother even stop him from telling us everything, what's there in that state? So I also will go to a certain limit. I'll say, oh, the Divine Mother is telling me, oh, this is the limit I can go. So I'll tell you certain things about this state, what the scriptures speak about it. Okay? So I mentioned samadhi. There's a couple of explanations. It described as intense concentration. It comes from the word yuj. The word yoga itself is samadhi, according to the yoga aphorisms of Patanjali. Yuj, yoga, samadhi. So the intensity of focus is samadhi. It is absorption. It is concentration. That's one side. The other meaning is to join, to yoke. That's where the English word yoke has come from. Yoga. It comes from the root Indo-Sanskrit, you can say language, yuj, to yoke yourself. Patanjali also says, when all the waves of your mind have been quelled, that is samadhi. Yeah. Chitta vritti nirodha. All the waves in the mind have been quelled. It also means, sama means sameness, stillness, and dhi is intelligence. When the intelligence, when your buddhi, your intellect is steady, like the flame in a windless place, there's a kind of expansion of knowledge. That is another explanation. To place something perfectly in a corner is another meaning. So, we won't go through the whole repertoire of the various definitions. But for our purposes, samadhi means intense concentration. And most of us have done it. When we concentrate on something, we become oblivious sometimes to the surroundings and oblivious to even ourselves. That is samadhi. But wait. Oh, that's so simple. I have attained samadhi. Is that? No. There are various levels because there are various aspirants. Simply put, samadhi is opening the door of your own consciousness into something called super consciousness. Okay? We all know our subconsciousness. Yeah, it drives us. Most of our behavior and everything is just driven. Subconsciousness. There's a thin layer of consciousness. Like you are now conscious of me and I'm conscious of you, but you don't know what's happening within the depths of your own subconsciousness or how the body is running. You're not aware. When I tell you, are you breathing? Oh, yeah, I'm breathing. You're not aware of this. But there is another realm within your own mind which is called the super consciousness. And when people get into samadhi, they get into that super consciousness. There. It defies all descriptions. There are no descriptions. It's just that the illustration given is you have the sea, the water is considered the subconscious, it's deep. The waves are considered the conscious mind. And the sky above the waves, the sky is the limit. It's all super consciousness. I think this illustration can stick to your minds. So you are ascending up, not descending. Many people take some psilocybin or LSD and say, oh, no, I have got to this, I have gone into samadhi. Sorry. You've gone into your own brain and that the neurons have been disrupted with that drugs. They see something, there's a kind of a sensory deprivation also. And they say something, no, you have gone into subconsciousness. Samadhi is getting into super consciousness. And so, too bad, no drugs or nothing can do work to take you up there. What can take you? It's only your concentration. Okay? So this is samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna also gives the example. Now that we are here, suppose he gives the example of a theatrical performance. People are conversing. Before you go, like you go to a musical performance also, people are talking and this and that. exchanging notes, and suddenly the curtain goes up and people stop talking and they focus on that stage. When all the activities of your senses and your body and everything stop and you're focused on one point, that is another illustration. And when the curtain rings down, that was a wonderful play, and this and that. You again keep on talking. That is okay. So Sri Ramakrishna says that, when the curtain of Maya falls down, we are externalized once again. But there is a huge difference. Swami Vivekananda says, a fool gets into the state of samadhi and emerges out a sage. Yeah. So this is what happens. We get into it. What happened? Oh, it was a wonderful state. No. That state is just another intense bliss. Your body will not be able to contain that bliss. It just explodes in every cell of your body. It's not a dry state. Nothing. People say, oh, it's a dry. No. It's just bliss and bliss and bliss. And knowledge. You come down to the heart of existence. And that's why reality is called existence, consciousness, and bliss. You are in touch with the reality. You become one, as it were, with the reality. And you come away with that infinity. Your talks, your words, your deeds will have a kind of a transcendent quality. Right now, our talks and words and deeds are all mundane. Very pedestrian. Yeah. You'll be completely transformed. This transformation is important. So what's the science? The science of samadhi, however, is secret. Because you are accessing step by step higher and higher levels of your own superconscious mind. You need to have somebody who is going to direct you. You can't do it on your own. It's not possible. It's like I'll read a medical book and say, I've read this medical book, all the medical books, I'm good enough to be a surgeon now. Let's go down there. They won't let you get going. So you need a guide there. Part of the secret is just practice. It's the grind. It's the constantly you will have to keep on doing that over and over and over. Because a mind can concentrate, and there's another set of, you can say, powers of the mind that disrupt this concentration. There are these forces that disrupt your concentration. It's called pravritti. And there's another one that's drawing you back inside, nivritti. These forces are constantly in a state of tussle. Sometimes you feel externalized, you want to do all this. At times, terrible, why did I do that? Something pulls you back inside. These forces are constantly at play. And these forces, in their play, have created this whole universe. So the mind is externalized by this force. At the same time, there's another force, that counter force comes in and pulls you back in. So technically, in the scriptures on samadhi, they're called impressions, samskaras, called nirodha, control, and the others are disturbed impressions. So I'm doing something, and then something comes and disturbs me. So you have two sets of impressions in your mind. What are impressions? Memories, simple. You have a whole host of memories. Oh, I've got so many memories. Yeah, you've forgotten many of your memories. Yeah, memories is not equal to your existence. You've forgotten many things about your childhood, but you were existing there. So people take memory as existence. No, that's an autobiographical memory. This is another layer in the mind. We are talking about that huge ocean of subconsciousness, where layers and layers and layers have been laid down. It's like you go to the Grand Canyon, and what do you see? What do you see? Nothing. The river has cut through all those layers, and you see those layers exposed. Concentration cuts through these layers and layers and layers of the mind. Yes. Because it is our old memories that act as a kind of bulwark. You're trying to kind of pray or meditate, and suddenly think of a thought of cookies comes in. Where did this damn thing come in? I'm trying to think of God and at the same time cookies. Which one is better? So these are called the controlling impressions. Every time you say, let's do this, at the same time there's something that pulls you back. You want to say something caustic to somebody, and you hold yourself back. You want to hit out at times, and at times you say, no, let go. You pull yourself back. And that's possible because we are living in society. We've got to bear and forbear. At times you need to pull ourselves back. You cannot say what's in your mind all the time. You'll get into trouble. Keep quiet. Pull yourself back. So these are the controlling impressions, and they keep on accumulating. Every time you're trying to do or say or think something, you're pulling yourself back. You're reining yourself in. And as these keep on increasing, there's a tipping point that comes. They will overwhelm all the worldly impressions, all the worldly memories. This is what is practice. This is the secret of Samadhi. Constantly over and over and over and over. Sri Ramakrishna's Vedanta Guru spent 40 years practicing it. 40 years, my God. I thought it would have been 4 days or 5 days or maybe 1 month. And there are people saying, oh, come to us. $1,000 will give you an experience of Samadhi. I said, wow, this happens only in California. It's a supreme state, and no exchange of merchandise will ever give you that. The whole responsibility is thrown on you. You depend on yourself, not on anything. What about the grace of God? Let that come later. You stand your ground and go through that grind over and over and over again. I tell you, it's going to be a tremendous, you can say, feeling of liberation. See, when you are in charge of yourself, you will feel liberated. People talk about empowerment and all. That's where when you feel, yeah, now I can say that I am myself. I am my own master. So the self-mastery is the beginning, the tentative steps towards Samadhi. So he's saying, okay, what about Samadhi? I'll tell you, the inner dynamics are extremely difficult. But in the Yoga Sutras, the Yoga aphorisms, they talk about, as you have kept on practicing, all your impressions, all your old memories have become weakened. The memories of fluctuation that throw you out have become weakened. And the memories of control have become strengthened. So it's called Kshine Vritti Rabijatasya Eva Grahitri Grahana Graheshu Tasta Tadanjanata Samapati. Don't get frightened about the Sanskrit. It's like in the early days, even before we had even mirrors, we had something polished. We had crystals. So when you look at yourself in a crystal, it's like crystal clear. Well, if it's dirty, you're not going to reflect in that crystal. So you keep on cleaning that crystal. So there are three categories here: the experiencer, the act of experience, and the object of experience. So these are the three things. Remember, the subject, the object, and that which connects the subject and the object. These are not aligned, and they have to become aligned. As simple as that. And when it becomes aligned, more and more and more aligned, what happens? There is a kind of a drawing together both the subject and the object. The object, as Swami Vivekananda was asked in Harvard, the subject merges in the object? No. The object merges in the subject. The three things, the experiencer or the perceiver, the act of experience, and the object of experience fuse, they become one. The whole mind becomes one-formed. How does that happen? You take any object of meditation, either in your mind or in even your body, and center your mind there, focus it there. As you focus it, the mind has the capacity to flow in a current towards that center. And as it gets deeper and deeper, the flow becomes profound. What happens is the whole of the mind becomes one wave, one form. You become oblivious to everything, even your own existence. In that state, when the mind has become one form, it takes the form of the reality on what you've been meditating upon. And then the next stage is that form simply dissolves. And as it dissolves, that is the highest point of samadhi. I've given you a little. I think it's enough to keep you kind of think, oh yeah, I've understood a little. Yeah. Keep on now. But what about people who are devotional in nature? Like Sri Ramakrishna says, there's something called a bhava samadhi. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you'll find. Like suppose you are meditating on a deity, say X. Okay. Or let's take as you're meditating on Buddha. Okay. First you've got to build a relationship with this. I am a child of Buddha, I'm a part of Buddha, I'm a servant of Buddha. And now this relationship has to become deepened and deepened and deepened. You're constantly eating, drinking, walking, talking. A part of your mind is thinking about the Buddha over and over and over. Like, Sri Ramakrishna gives an example. Yeah, when you have a toothache, you're doing all the work, but part of your mind is on that ache. It's something like that. You start over and over. And as it becomes deeper and deeper, that form of Buddha in your mind, which was just a kind of an image, that becomes alive. Actually, it's the mind that gives life to things, If we don't enter this hall for a year or 2 years, no one enters here. And after maybe 2 years, you come in and see this place will appear dead. Yeah. It's actually we give things life. Our mind gives things life. Now, that image comes alive. Now that image begins to respond to you. That image becomes luminous. That image becomes can place with you, will touch you. You can touch that image. This is the state of bhava. It's a concentrated state related to a particular deity or god or a goddess or whatever. You become identified with that deity. And it is alive, it plays with you. In Sri Ramakrishna's life, you find the whole thing, even in some of his devotees, that deity emerged out of them and they played. Only they could see it. That's a long story, but then suffice it to say that this is called bhava. Bhava is a spiritual mood. You take up a spiritual mood and intensify it over and over and over, and you get it at. There's another called unmana. It's like, they say, like, you open an umbrella again, and what happens when you close it? Everything comes together in one point. Suddenly you can pull your mind at one point and focus it. That is also another method. We're saying, but Sri Ramakrishna said, this does not last too long. It's pulled in and held for a while. But then it disperses again. There's something called the Chetana Samadhi. Like when I'm thinking about a deity and I'm constantly meditating, I don't want to lose myself in that deity completely. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example, I want to taste sugar. I don't want to be sugar. You keep a kind of a slight separate identity from this. Yeah, so I hope you don't come down with diabetes. But you get the idea. There's another called Sthita Samadhi. So in this state, it's like that. I give the example of you close the umbrella, pull it out. If that state continues for a few days, let me tell you another thing. This is important. In that state of intense concentration called samadhi, there is no time. You have transcended time. There is no space. Time and space are transcended. You might be you might feel you've been there for a few moments, but it has been days. Okay. So because you are transcending both life and death, you have conquered life and death. So you have conquered time and space in which all these things, the law of causation takes place. It's an old Indian concept of desh, kal, nimitta, time, space, and everything else, causation, the laws of causation. Savikalpa, I won't go into this. There are various stages. Technically, for the record, there's savitarka, nirvitarka, savichara, nirvichara, sananda, sasmita. Because this is going to go, broadcast all over. And you got to give them a little. So these are very high yogic states. One state might take years. Why years? It might take lifetimes. Too bad. Could have done faster. There's other, it's called a Jada or Nirvikalpa Samadhi. There where the whole universe has become whole universe is transcended. Now, you know what? When you keep your body still, perfectly still, you notice your breath also becomes shallow. When your mind is restless, your breath also goes like bellows. When your body is still, your breath also becomes shallow, slow. And as your breath becomes shallow, your mind also is still. If you can continue in this state deeper and deeper and deeper, there will be a kind of an stillness. Your body your breath, your mind has become still. You're aware. What drives the mind? It is mind that was coined into birth and death. What is the foundation of the mind? The sense of I. Yeah. The sense of I, technically it's called asmita. It is everywhere. It is in your cells, it is in your trees, in the plants and animals. It is the source of creation. We all have emerged from that sense of universal I. You take your cell and put it in a petri dish and it will survive, and you try to kill it will try to avoid you. But what happened? It was a part of me. Yeah, that I was also a separate part of you. This I is everywhere. Try to find out where exactly is I in your body. It's in my brain? No. It's everywhere. It's all over your body, it's all over your mind. That is the root of your body and mind. In the state of samadhi, this I is transcended. So what happens to this I of mine? It merges in this universal I. You will feel this whole universe as yourself. As Swami Satyamayananda said, you feel that universal consciousness. Here the fear of death and birth and all misery and everything ceases. This is samadhi, briefly. Okay. There's so many other things. Well, but what about people like you and me? Yeah. How about us getting into samadhi? It's pretty difficult. The way I kind of presented, I only hope I have not dissuaded some people from trying. Practice. Okay. But let's put it like this. As you read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you find him speaking about samadhi, different samadhis, to different people, different aspirants, at different levels. You also see him going periodically into samadhi. He sees something, gets into that state. And then again descends with fresh knowledge. So his words are words from super consciousness. That's what they say the Vedas are super conscious knowledge, super sensuous knowledge. Because all scriptures of the world have been extracted from that state and revealed to us in language is comprehensible. And that's the reason why these scriptures, world scriptures, will never be destroyed. They are not mundane. So these guys go to that state, super consciousness, come back with that knowledge and tell us about it. Okay, so now we understand the words of the scriptures are kind of ringing a bell somewhere in us, because a part of us also is aware in a way of that super consciousness. It's tapping on the door from the other side, Hey, I'm here. You've neglected me. So Sri Ramakrishna, when he sees his own picture, and all Sri Ramakrishna's pictures are the pictures of samadhi, he said, this will be worshipped in every home as time passes by. Yeah. He himself worships his own picture. Yeah. Holy Mother herself worships the picture, and we know what it is like. He's saying this is the high yogic state. When this picture was taken, the photographer was trying to straighten his chin a bit because it was slightly. So in order to get a correct photograph. And as that cameraman, he just tries to straighten the chin, the whole body lifts up like it's made of featherweight. And Swami Vivekananda was there. What are you doing? Stop! Don't touch him. In that state, you don't touch anybody like. And then he let go, straightening that chin, and then the body floats back. And then he sees the picture. This is the high yogic state to be worshipped in every home. In worshipping this, we are worshipping the state of Samadhi. The state of Samadhi is now personalized, it's embodied, it's tangible. It's no longer something theoretical and kind of airy and abstract. It is here, tangible. And as we are also heirs to the state of Samadhi, because it is a birthright, it is proper that we go to a place which embodies our aspirations, our deepest aspirations. And then what happens? Well, you can get it by just worshipping Sri Ramakrishna. Yes. You see, this will be the future humanity. You notice something? You take the image of a Buddha, or you take a Ramakrishna, a Holy Mother, or Swami Vivekananda, they are deeply sitting down and meditative. They are going down in meditation. The future humanity is this, deeply contemplative, deeply absorbed in the reality, not with those big guys with those big muscles and bigger guns. That's not going to be humanity in the future. Sorry. You can take it from me. We are now enamored with those kind of muscles and power and this and that. That's kind of is killing us. The future of humanity is going to be this, deeply contemplative and internalized, in touch with the highest reality. And this is, in a way, ourselves. You'll find then later on, when we merge into the Samadhi, we'll be merging into Him. This is the culmination. This is the conquest, not only of your birth and death. It will be the conquest of all births and all death. You have transcended relative existence. Yaiva tairjita sargo yesham samyestitam mana. They have conquered relative existence. All relative existence. You become a god, as it were. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Thank you so much, Swami Satyamayananda Maharaj. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
Ah,
Yeah, I mean.
after all this,
No. Can you simply turn on the picture? You see the picture on the
Oh,
piano?
yes.
That's an actual picture that you were referring to.
There you go.
This is the painting.
No. Well, he's our teacher, For us, he's a symbol. He represents the highest state. Questions? This is the time.
yeah,
A few more minutes. Really? Questions?
I was trying to. Okay, yeah, sorry.
I have a slightly difficult question to ask, and I hope it works for the conversation we just had. You mentioned a petri dish, and you mentioned even when you're trying to kill it, it will avoid is it that would make a younger person accept death, accept to die? Some people fight to live, and some people accept to die. How can we understand that?
Yeah. You know, in the scriptures, suicide is considered one of the most heinous of all sins that you can ever commit. Let me put it like that. The pain of the body is so intolerable. The pain of the mind is so intolerable. They just want to get away from it all. So they identify themselves with that pain and they want to finish it off. But they are getting into, like this, from the frying pan into the fire. It's a bigger problem when they discard the body like that. Life has emerged through innumerable factors. Innumerable. A lot of things have gone into giving birth to you and me and everything. To simply discard that, cut away at your root, means that there is a kind of a non-knowledge. People have not understood their own selves, their own minds. There's still that sense of immaturity is so dominant that they can't handle life. You see, what can counter all the miseries, at least mental miseries? Knowledge. The more you grow in love and devotion and knowledge, the more you conquer all these things. What is the stress and hysteria and anxiety and all these things? It's just you are overwhelmed with all these circumstances that you are just pouring themselves into you. Broaden yourself, they say, and you can counter. Now, physically, you see what happens is, there's something called a law of karma. I do something and I get it. You know, they say, as you sow, so shall you reap. It's inevitable. You can't get away from anything, either good or bad. At one point of time, a person has been led by his or her karma to such a state, you see the consequences of your actions and you can understand what has led me. There are no external enemies. That is number one. Another thing is, Sri Ramakrishna says, when you live in the body, you've got to pay your taxes. You know, you've got to live somewhere, you've got to pay your rent. So diseases and illnesses and all these things are the taxes that you pay. Okay? Nothing is free in this world. The air is free. You go and keep on breathing, you'll shorten your lifespan. Breathe slowly, you'll expand. So at one point of time, that point where that person decides to do away with life, it is a long sequence which has terminated at that point. And that's the reason why we've been telling, all the religions of the world have been telling, see that you don't harm anybody in thought, word, and deed. It will come to you. Live in such a way. Now, I understand what drives this instinct, the kind of a temporary madness that seizes you. It is something that overcomes you and I don't want to live. It's like these guys who do a tattoo and then after a couple of years, why did I do that? Kind of stupid. But at a spur of the moment, you kill yourself, and then what happens? It's like, when the snail grows a little, I pare it down, throw it off. It grows again, regrows, and pare it off. So the Bhagavad Gita and all the scriptures say that you grow bodies. Your real personality is your subtle body. And behind that subtle body, there's another causal body. So you have actually three bodies. You have a gross body, you have a subtle body, and you have a causal body. These two remain. And these will go to places where you have worked out for your future abode. Okay? So this goes down. Death is... people, when they see that, you can conquer death, Kabir says, no? Oh Kabir, when you were born, you cried and the whole world laughed. Now, when you pass away, you will pass away laughing and the whole world will cry for you. So death, this is the world of death. Like I mentioned, I think were you there in the very beginning of this talk? Yeah, you came in. That's the reason why. I would like you to go back to the beginnings of this talk on YouTube. And so, death is not the end. We are a series of lives. Series. Let me be very clear. This is the idea of the reincarnation. The other day I was talking with a brother monk, an American. So we were talking about the powers of the mind with the placebo, talking about a placebo kind of effect. And then he was countering. I was thinking, why can't I see his point of view? Why can't he see my point of view? You see, what happens is the whole of education system tells you body first, and the workings of the body gives rise to something called a mind. In all the Eastern philosophies, it is the mind first, then the body is later. Mind first, matter next. Here it is matter first, mind next. And that's the reason why the ideas of reincarnation, no, they become stupid. Oh, I'm the body, I'm dead, I'm gone. Oh, that's when Sri Ramakrishna saw his own nephew passing away, he started laughing. And everybody around us, they are so mournful and glum, and he's laughing. What happened? Shh, keep quiet. He said, I seen his nephews emerging out of his sheath like a sword coming out of the sheath, scabbard. So this person does not understand that he is the mind. That's so dull and stupid. He thinks it's the body, and then if I can get over with this, it's all over. Educate yourself that you are principally the subtle body, and this traverses from place to place to place to place to place. Slowly we mature. You can get something which you haven't worked for. Maybe 100 years, maybe it'll come to you. Then specifically to your, everything is, like I said, instinctive. That's what life is. It wants to avoid death. It's simple. If a car is coming down in straight to me, I'm going to step out of my way. Of course, there are people who can stand, they say no, and they can stop the car, but that's a different category. But I will avoid that car coming. So there is an instinct, basic instinct to survive. It is there in each and every cell. And that is what kind of keeps us running. Even with all the misery that we face, Life is not a kind of a joke or picnic or poetry. These people who say, oh, there's this beautiful moonlight and sunlight. You know how many factors are going, the nature is in a constant tussle, killing you, killing you, creating you. When you see, understand nature, you'll understand yourself. Why does that person wants to kill himself? There are so many things that are dying right now. Why don't the person weep for that? No, but we celebrate life. So there is an instinctive reaction to avoid death. It is called, the Yoga Sutras called abhinivesha, the clinging to life, the fear of death. It is one of the obstacles to yoga actually. Yes, the clinging to life is that also has to be conquered. This is what it is. And this will be conquered only after you have had a vaster perspective of life, of existence, of mind. Then, oh, death, where is thy sting, like Shakespeare would say. That's it. But the idea is don't take your own life. Sri Ramakrishna says that this is in the hands of a higher power. You don't take your own life. You've been given an opportunity. Work your way through it. Meet the challenges, and it will be better for you. And slowly you will conquer it. Yeah, I know you have. I've been beating around the bush, kind of. Yeah, this. Why does a person do that? Well, you can say it was karma or you. I would say that he has not understood life.
I wanted to clarify something. It's not related to suicide in this case, but thank you so much because this was so enlightening. It was related to an actual physical illness, to cancer. And I'm saying in cancer, there are people who survive just like a cell in a petri dish, fight to live. And there are others who accept to go, they do the work, but they accept leaving. And they could be young. So you just wonder, is that a positive thing or is that not a positive thing?
A positive thing. You just you've understood what is cancer, what is not cancer, and you just it depends on how you look at life, how you look at diseases, and how you look at the transition. Let me tell you, the actual experience of death is not painful. The things that lead you to it is painful. The actual experience of death is blissful. It's a kind of just a release. It's like a fish that has been in a fish tank and suddenly let loose in a pond. Oh my God. So, if people can understand this, don't worry. It's all bliss. Okay. Death, and it's demonized. Death has been demonized in such a way. This kind of hooded figure that comes and the grim reaper. Oh no. We have in Hinduism, we have the god of death. He's a nice guy. Very nice guy. There's a long story in like Savitri. She even takes him for a ride. Yeah. Satyavan her husband had died, and she puts questions to him and he answers, and finally he was taken for a complete ride. He was made a fool by that woman, Savitri. And then you say, yeah, okay, take back the soul of your husband. Your very devotion to him has liberated him. So he's a nice guy. So death is not a terror. Don't think of it as terror. In fact, life itself is kind of hard.
Hi, I was wondering, you were talking about absorption, samadhi being absorption and reaching that, connection to oneness. So if someone is able to reach that state, why come back?
Ah, you've asked a nice question. And in fact, there's one of my points. I didn't want to mention it. Yes. In fact, most souls do not come back. They don't come back. They don't want to come back. I've got nothing more to do with this miserable world. Because what happens is, first, you are in touch with infinity. You become infinite. The shock of that knowledge, infinite, and the bliss that accompanies it is so powerful, your body just can't handle it. Sri Ramakrishna says that ordinary souls, when they get into it, do not return back. But there are some special souls who do. And they have a mission. Only those souls with a mission will come back. Like, during Sri Ramakrishna will say, let me have a glass of water. And his mind used to come down. He used to have a glass of water. They hold a few desires, good desires. These are the bodhisattvas. They see the misery of people and they want to do something about it. So they have these desires, a few good desires, and that desire brings them down. Sri Ramakrishna says, it's like a thin silvery thread that I hold on to and I descend and I re-enter into this body. Okay. So he's saying, I just chant the Om and descend 100 feet down and then I can enter into. And even after guy enters, a feeling of grogginess persists. You see in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the guy is reeling, like he's saying, what are these guys saying? Am I drunk? Yeah, they don't know. He's groggy, his speech is slurred. It takes a while for consciousness to completely become once again established in the body. Okay? Yes, it is difficult, and if you can get into it, touch it, you become a god. As simple as that. Now, if you want to have some desire, let me help people, you can kind of come. But I'm talking about the return from the highest point. The other samadhis, which are much lower, you can return. Your body goes into an advanced hibernation or death. Your body dies and then body is again revived. 21 days it takes. If the mind does not descend back into the body will simply fall away. There's slight heat in the spinal column. That's what keeps the body livable after 21 days. Within 21 days, okay. After 21 days, you've merged. It's like a piece of hail falling in an ocean. It becomes one with it. Our souls are actually a part of that ocean. You merge in it. You become the ocean.
Thank you, Swami. Anybody else? Maharaj, thank you so much for inviting me. Next Sunday, Swami Satyamayananda, he is Swami from our Pasadena Center. He's going to be here, and the topic is the universal religion. All welcome. Also, these are very auspicious days. I don't know if you are familiar with Durga Puja.
Oh, yeah.
So we will be celebrating Durga Puja officially in Santa Barbara. It's going to go online. Please check out our website under the location Santa Barbara. It starts via Zoom at 11 a.m. Or welcome to join. And also, we encourage all of you to think of Mother Durga. Mother Durga is the one that does away, kills whatever evil tendencies within us, our mind, mind. So you can pray to her. This is a very auspicious occasion to remember God in the form of Mother. And so the mantra that we invite you to repeat is Jai Shri Durga. Glory to Mother Durga. And that aspect of Durga will destroy all our limitations, starting from selfishness.
Yeah, I would recommend it fully.
Yes, yes.
It is extremely effective.
Yeah.
Every period of the year, there's an upsurge of divine energy, and this divine energy has taken the form of the goddess. So invoking that energy brings that energy into us.
So we usually like to share this commitment, our pledge, and so it goes from the 6th, October 6th to the 15th. All these, it's called Navaratri, the 9 nights, almost 10 days. And you make the point to repeat 100 times Jai Shri Durga. Every day. You write it down on your diary. I repeat Jai Shri Durga. Jai Shri Durga. And please remember the meaning. It's just you are honoring the divine aspect within you. It is said that the experience of God is as the love of the mother. So by connecting with that aspect of God, motherly aspect, we will experience that within us. So it's beautiful. Jai Shri Durga, glory to Mother Durga, for 10 days, starting from the 6th. And if you, next Sunday, I will display some notebooks where you can write down your name and your commitment. Yes, I've done this 100 times, 1,000 times every day. It's good for you. It's actually Vedantic practice to remember the highest. It's our duty so that we can transform ourselves. On Wednesdays at Ramakrishna Monastery, we have these meetings online. It's called Satsanga with the Trabuco brothers. We are presently working on the treasures from the Son of God, from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 4, and it goes on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. You can join online. Presently, the monastery is open only on Sundays, again from 10 to 2 p.m. You are all welcome. The grounds are open. We usually, from 11 to noon, we have a lecture here on all songs. And then you are free to walk the grounds. Thank you so much for coming. I'll see you next Sunday.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you like to close with it?
Yeah, they're already.
Oh, let's close.
Yeah. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace, 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 peace. That is what we all want, and that is an experience that we will get if we try hard enough. Peace, peace.
Thank you. Beautiful.